have a question. What is the effect of reading Jesus at night? Well, let's see if we can answer that question. Today, or tonight, we're going to be reading the Gospel in Brief. Now, this book is very special. Special to me, it's special to a lot of people. Here's a summary of what this book is. It is the four Gospels in the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But it is translated by Leo Tolstoy. Now, Tolstoy, great artist. That's a whole nother video. He's a beautiful man who wrote some big books and studied a lot of languages, and yes, was rich, and yes, did some bad things, but who isn't rich and who doesn't do bad things? Tolstoy, the bear as they call him, wrote a lot of beautiful big novels, a lot of beautiful short stories as well. However, he was sad that people didn't read his philosophy more. Or even this little work right here. What he does is he takes the original Greek of the New Testament and he gives it his own translation. Now, why is this important? Okay, well, he doesn't only give it his own translation. He also cuts out the miracles. He cuts out anything that might be supernatural. So let's take this one step at a time, though. Why is it important that it's his translation? Well, would you trust the translation of Jimmy Buffett, or would you trust the translation of Leo Tolstoy? Here's an option. You could either read the translation of Mark Schmigel, Destiny Park, Squirrel Johnson, or Leo Tolstoy. Oh, okay, I might want to read Squirrel Johnson's translation, but to be real, look at who has translated the Bible. There's some good translations out there. Mostly all of it. There's a lot of good stuff out there. King James Bible, even the standard editions, the international editions, they're all solid. They're solid. But Tolstoy is, if there's the other ones are solid, he's what's one up from solid? Not gaseous, not liquid. He's solid, gaseous, and liquid. Tolstoy is. So first and foremost, don't say that. So first, we have someone who understands the ancient Greek language, immerses himself in it, is a beautiful artist himself, is a genius. We have a genius translating the Bible. Okay, that's step one. The second thing he does, and this is most important, is that he takes out the supernatural, he takes out the miracles. Now, oh no, all of a sudden we have everybody, whoa, you don't want to talk about Jesus' miracles, man? That's heretical. One time I talked to one of my friends, one of my coworkers, who was an older guy. Loved going to lunch with him. We would talk about the Bible. We would talk about, I would give him the tough questions. I'd give him the philosophical questions, and I'd run with it, and he taught me a lot. But one time I brought up this, and I brought up, hey, and he takes out the miracles, and he was like, I wouldn't trust anyone who does that. That's a major part of Jesus. It's a major part of Jesus is his miracles. And what's his bucket? Pascal, another philosopher, he'll say that without the miracles, Jesus doesn't make sense. Okay, maybe so. That may be the case, but be sparing with your buts. But you can't get to that level of miracle thought without this. Or, in other words, Some people can't access that miracle genius without putting the miracles aside for a second. Or maybe even the miracles aren't where it's at. Maybe the miracles are only for other people who hear miracles. Okay, yeah, miracles, he's the one. Maybe some people need to believe that way, but take the miracles out and just look at who Jesus was as a man. I call this book Jesus as He Was and Is. That's my subtitle for it. The Gospel in Brief. Jesus as He Was and Is. I don't know where I picked that up over the years. I've had this book at my side. I've kind of let it slip away from me in this past year, but I used to read it frequently. I haven't read it that much, but I love it. I love this book. So that's what Tolstoy is doing. He's giving you Jesus' life in a short book. Look at this book. If you want to know about Jesus, you can in 213 pages where the font is this big. Oh no. Okay. Alright, check out this book. Wait, how can I do this? You just trust me that the font is thick. So that means it's easy reading. It's easy reading. So, so that's that. Now, is there anything I want to say about Tolstoy's introduction? There's just so much that he says that's better than what I could even spout to you right now. Like this, let me just read an excerpt from Tolstoy's introduction. And it is neither theology nor history which has won me to Christianity, but just this, that, when 50 years old, having questioned myself, and having questioned the reputed philosophers whom I knew, including Schopenhauer, who he loved, as to what I am, and as to the purport of my life, and after getting the reply that I was a fortuitous concatenation of atoms, and that my life was void of purpose, and that life itself is evil, I became desperate, and wished to put an end to my life. But after recalling to myself how formerly, in childhood, while I still had religious faith, life possessed meaning for me, and that the great mass of men about me, who hold to faith, and are uncorrupted by wealth, possess the meaning of life, after all this I was brought into doubt as to the justness of the reply given to me by the wisdom of men of my own station, and I tried once more to understand what answer it is that Christianity gives to those men who live a life with meaning. And I embarked upon the study of Christianity, as to what in this teaching guides the lives of men. I began to study that Christianity which I saw applied in life, and to make the comparison of this applied Christianity with the sources whence it percolates. The source of the Christian teaching is the Gospels, and there I found the explanation of the spirit which animates the life of all who really live. But along with the flow of that pure, life-giving water I perceived much mire and slime, unrightfully mingled therewith, and this had prevented me so far from seeing the real pure water. I found that, along with the lofty Christian teaching, are bound up the teachings of Hebraism and the Church, both of which are repugnant and foreign to the former. I thus felt myself in the position of a man to whom is given a sack of refuse, who, after long struggle and wearisome labor, discovers among the refuse a number of infinitely precious pearls. This man then knows that he is not blameworthy in his distaste for the dirt, and also that those who have gathered these pearls at the same time with the rest of the sackful, and who have preserved them, are no more to blame than himself, but, on the contrary, deserve love and respect. Alright, this reminds me why this book is great. It shows Christ. Step 1. Step 2. Inherently, it shows Christianity. Christ, Christianity. Now, I have used the phrase true Christian. Okay, that's true. He's a true Christian. Or, he wouldn't do that if he were a true Christian. And I have gotten backlash like, what does that mean? What is a true Christian? Well, someone who follows Christ. Christian. You're a Christian. You follow Christ. Now, what Tolstoy brought up in here is the church gets involved. Now, there are things, before I even start, I'm gonna go directly to the middle of the book where Christ gives his 5 new commandments. Okay, no hands, and I'm going to close my eyes. Let's see if I can remember the 5 commandments. I haven't done any recent research on this. Ooh, my arms look good because of the Jesus gods. So basically, halfway through this book, Christ says, hey, all the old commandments, all the 10 commandments in the Old Testament, the Jewish Old Testament, are good. By the way, Christ was Jewish. Are good. They're good, and if you follow them, you're good to go. However, I offer 5 new commandments, and these are Christ's 5 commandments. The first one, and I'm probably going to get the order wrong if I even remember all of them. So the first one says, make up with your brothers and sisters at every opportunity, and always seek to be on good terms with them, no matter what. Don't fight with them at all. If you fight, then go to them. And if they don't accept forgiveness, go to them 7 times. If they don't accept that, go to them 77 times. Just keep going. And if after that they don't, then say, hey, okay, I can't help. So I tried to. So straight up forgive and don't be enemies with anyone. That's number 1. Okay, off to a good start. Number 2, I think this is number 2. Don't be sensual. Don't pursue sensual relations. If you what is the saying? Not the saying, the scripture. If you look at another woman with a desire, then you've already committed the adultery in your heart. Yeah, so he straight up says it. Christ says, hey, find a wife and just don't do the sensual stuff, man. I mean, I know it's hard. Okay, it's a hard life. But it goes back to original sin, and that's one way to get out of it. So that's number 2. Now, number 3, and by the way, this is a reminder, you follow these, you're a true Christian. Number 3 is don't go to court. It's straight up the thing. Just don't go to court. Don't take someone to court. Don't sue anybody. So that just takes out the law right there. Takes out the law. So you really can't be a Christian if you're a lawyer. No, I don't know. Maybe perhaps you can. Number 4 is I'm already gonna forget one. I always forget one. I know number either 4 or 5 is love men and women from all nations. So don't hate one person because they're from another nation. So if you do that, if you are racist or nationalist, then you're not a true Christian. What's number 5? Okay, we got sensual. Oh, number 5, I remember. Don't swear. Don't take oaths. Don't swear, don't take oaths. The wording's better, and we'll eventually get to it. Don't swear or don't take oaths. And the explanation on this is pretty awesome, actually. It's pretty much saying don't make promises because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where you're going to be. Say, oh, you want to come out? I want to come out on Friday. Don't even say yes. Just say, eh. If you have to say yes, say it. You say no, you say no. Probably a better example would be like, I don't know. Just don't make promises. Just don't even try them. Don't get into that because you don't know what's gonna happen. And by you putting that promise out of your mouth and saying that, by you letting that out of your mouth and into the air, wow. Along those lines, Jesus has a very, very, very great line when he says, it's not what goes into the mouth that makes the sinner, it's what comes out. And this I like to tell all my people who like to eat, drink, and partake in such medications. It's not what goes into your mouth that makes a sinner, it's what comes out. So just remember that next time. Okay. So that's a true Christian, and that's what Tolstoy is trying to look at here. He's trying to say, hey man, okay, yes, the church, maybe it has some good intent, but what is the church to Jesus at this point? Okay, what is the one defense that we can say if we're going to take the church's side? Because we have to, be friends with the church. We say, oh, okay, church. Jesus does say spread his word, and the apostles spread the word. So yes, a church gets founded there. However, what about someone who doesn't have access to the church? Is not Jesus available to anyone who just has the book? Do I have to go to church? We'll see. Some people benefit from church. Is church necessary? Shall we start with chapter 1? Okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I started this, didn't even know it would look like this with these colors. I'm perhaps just going to read and maybe commentate. Oh, so Tolstoy splits this up into 12 chapters, and he prides himself a little bit on the connection that he draws because, let's see, here, I'll read it. At the conclusion of my work, I found, to my astonishment and joy, that the Lord's Prayer is nothing less than Christ's whole teaching, stated in most concise form, and in that same order in which I had already arranged the chapters, each phrase of the prayer corresponding to the purport and sequence of the chapters, as follows. Okay, this is going to be kind of difficult. Maybe I'll bring it up on text and editing. So Tolstoy's chapters read... Oh. I'm sorry. Okay, he named his chapter after the Lord's Prayer. And then when he was looking back at it, he saw that they were the most condensed. The Lord's Prayer is the most condensed form of Christ's teaching. So the Lord's Prayer goes, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as in heaven, so also on earth. Give us your daily bread this day, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, for thine is the kingdom and power and the glory. And then Tolstoy gives the explanation of the prayer. It says, the first line says, man is the son of the Father. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2, God is the infinite spiritual source of life, which art in heaven. Step 3, may the source of life held holy. Now, I don't want to start here, so I might just cut this out, but let's just get to the first chapter. I don't want to start there because that's almost treading on that, on the miracles stuff. Like, I want this to be accessible to someone who wants to learn about this, and who might, when they hear the miracle, when they hear the Spirit and the Father, they're just like, when you hear those words, when you hear, oh, the Spirit is in his body, when you even hear the word Spirit, do you automatically put up a defense? Do you parry? When you hear Spirit, you go like that and you parry me, and then all of a sudden, our brains we're less connected, and the fugue sets in. When I say the Son of God, the Spirit, do you put up your shield and do you get stunned? Or are you at such a level where you don't even get stunned and you automatically put me down in the dirt? Is it at that point? All right, chapter 1 is our Father, our Father, the Son of God, the Spirit. Man, the Son of God, is powerless in the flesh and free in the Spirit. The birth of Jesus Christ was thus. His mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, but before they began to live as man and wife, Mary proved with child. But Joseph was a good man and did not wish to disgrace her. He took her as his wife and had nothing to do with her until she had borne her first son and called him Jesus. So already in the birth of Jesus is scandal. Or scandal hidden. And the birth of Jesus is a good husband. And the boy grew and matured. Okay, before we go on. God, you scandalous man. God, you're causing, if I may, with all due respect, it does seem as if he is taking on that role of Zeus here. This is that Zeus entry point. Oh, God coming down, giving his spirit. Scandalous. Man, he's already involving himself. He's coming down. He's involving himself in a scandalous way. Scandalous. We gotta find a way to make scandal hit heavy. And the boy grew and matured and was intelligent beyond his years. Okay, so Jesus was intelligent. We'll let that one sit for a sec. Jesus was 12 years old, and it happened that Mary and Joseph went to the feast at Jerusalem and took the boy with them. The feast was over, and they went homeward and forgot about the boy. Afterward they recollected. Okay, so like Home Alone. Afterward they recollected and thought that he had gone off with the children, and they inquired about him along the road. He was nowhere to be found, and they went back to Jerusalem after him. And it was the third day before they found the boy in the temple, sitting with the teachers, questioning them and listening. So they go back and Jesus is sitting in the temple, questioning the teachers and listening. Questioning them and listening. Important. Important. Good translator. Good. He wasn't just questioning them. He wasn't just listening. He was questioning and listening. You know that's important. And everyone wondered at his intelligence. His mother caught sight of him. So if Jesus is intelligent, then his mother, Mary, must have been intelligent. That's a given. His mother caught sight of him and said, "Why have you done this way with us? Your father and I have been grieving and looking for you." And Jesus said to them, "But where did you look for me? Surely you ought to know that the son must be looked for in his father's house." And they did not understand his words. They did not understand whom it was he called his father. Let's try to think of an equivalent of this. Just think about if this happened today. Just think about if a 14-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy, he was out with his mom and dad, and all of a sudden they look around, he's lost, and then they go to church. Because maybe they were around the church, there was an event, and they see him talking with the old men afterwards and just questioning them. And then they say, and they pull him aside like, "Dude, come on, like, we were looking for you. We thought you were dead." Like, that happens every day with kids. And then the kid says, "What? You should have known I would be in my father's house." This happens. That could happen today. And after this, Jesus lived at his mother's. And this is the first time I'm noticing this. And after this, Jesus lived at his mother's and obeyed her in everything. Mother's, like his mother's house. Was it one? Did he have two households, mom and dad? Okay. Now that is something I will not get into, but it's just something to remind you that this is happening every day. And he advanced in age and intelligence, and everyone thought that Jesus was the son of Joseph. Oh, okay. So maybe they still kept it under wraps. And so he lived to the age of 30. At that time, the prophet John appeared in Judea. So another thing this book is doing. Now, I just went through 5 paragraphs. 5 little paragraphs. Haven't even turned a page yet. And I'm about to turn the page, and we already covered the beginning, life, and now John's going to be mentioned. In the Gospels, it varies. Sometimes you'll get longer sessions. I mean, you'll get the large genealogy of Jesus that takes up a whole half a page, and just that alone. If someone takes it upon themselves to read the Bible and maybe say, "Hey, I want to learn about Jesus," and then they get to the genealogy and they're just like, and sorry, that could just set them off. But right here, we're streamlining it. and we're getting right to the core of who Jesus was. And yes, you miss some of the nice long stories. There's a guy whose name starts with a Z, who does something cool in one of the Gospels. I can't remember, because let's face it, I don't have to remember this stuff. It's good that I forget it so I can rediscover it, right? No, that's just my excuse. Okay. At that time, the prophet John appeared in Judea. He lived in the desert of Judea on the Jordan. John's clothes were of camel's hair. Good description. Girt round the waist with a strap, and he fed on bark and herbs. I'm loving this description. John's clothes were of camel's hair, girt round the waist with a strap, and he fed on bark and herbs. Now that can be a song. That could be a good song. John's clothes were of camel's hair, girt round the waist with a strap, and he fed on bark and herbs. John's clothes were of camel's hair, girt round the waist with a strap, and he fed on bark and herbs. That's John. He summoned the people to a change of life in order to get rid of wickedness, and as a sign of the change of life, he bathed people in the Jordan. John the Baptist. He said, "A voice calls to you, open a way for God through the wild places, clear the way for him, make it so that all may be level, that there may be neither hollows nor hills, neither high nor low." Imagine that white space. "Then God will be among you, and all will find their salvation." And the people asked him, "What are we to do?" He answered, "Let him who has 2 suits of clothes give one to him who has none. Let him who has food give to him who has none." And tax collectors came to him and asked, "What are we to do?" He said to them, "Extort nothing beyond what is ordered." And soldiers asked, "How are we to live?" He said, "Do no one any harm. Do not deal falsely. Be content with what is served out to you." Now this is where I am not a true Christian. You hear those sirens? I'm not out there giving food to homeless people right now. And that's my weakness. Am I not a Christian at that point? That's my struggle. That's where I take my sword or my book and I'm just like when I see a homeless person, I don't give them money. Ooh, I've been shot. Does that disqualify me? That's tough. Even Emerson would say he has his qualms with homeless people. I mean, Emerson likes Christ, but Emerson, I'm not saying he's a model Christian or anything, but that the subject of someone homeless and beggars is very difficult to reconcile, to the point where we have to ask, what is reconcilement, and should we even pursue it, the reconcilement? If it sounds like I'm losing the thread here, it's because this is something I haven't figured out. So back to John the Baptist, who's saying, "Hey, this is what you do if you want salvation." This is before Jesus, so perhaps maybe this isn't the. Oh, okay, I remember now. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I don't want to mislead anyone. And I might be wrong. But if you love Jesus, perhaps that's what it takes. Just leave it there. Probably wrong. I'm probably wrong. I don't know. But I just want to get that out so we're on the same page. Oh, right. Remember, we're on page, yeah, you know where we are. "And inhabitants of Jerusalem came to him, and all the Jews in the neighborhood of the Jordan, and they acknowledged their wickedness to him, and in the sign of the change of life, he bathed them in the Jordan. And many of the Orthodox and conventional religionists also came to John, but secretly. He recognized them and said, 'You race of vipers, have you also got wind of it, that you cannot escape the will of God? Then bethink yourselves, and change your faith. And if you wish to change your faith, let it be seen by your fruits what you have bethought yourselves. The axe is already laid at the tree. If the tree produces bad fruit, it will be cut down and cast into the fire. In sign of your change, I cleanse you in water. But, along with this bathing, you must be cleansed with the Spirit. The Spirit will cleanse you, as a master cleanses his threshing floor when he gathers the wheat but burns the chaff. Okay, don't just be cleansed with water, be cleansed with Spirit. Good way to think of this is to go 6 months without showering and without sinning. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Automatically, I know no one's gonna take this trial. I don't even take this trial. But until we take that trial, how can we say? I mean, come on, we're speaking from personal experience, are we not? Now that's kind of what I just did there was kind of a tricky false door argument. But this idea of cleansing, I mean, in some schools, maybe even today, is 30 years ago, in England 50 years ago, certainly 100 years ago, some of the students in these high up prep schools and dormitories, colleges, these boys would go the whole semester without bathing. A bath would be twice a year. You see that some of it pops up with Ashton Kutcher saying, "Hey, I don't have to shower," or "I don't have to use soap." And Mila Kunis, and she's over here. No, Mila Kunis, and she's saying, "Yeah, I don't use shampoo." There's little hints and pieces there, but I'm just saying. If you're pure, no, we're getting a little derailed. Let's stay on. Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to be bathed by John, and he bathed and heard John's preaching. And from the Jordan he went into the wild places, and there he strove in the Spirit. Jesus passed 40 days and nights in the desert without food or drink. Here we go. Big moment. And the voice of his flesh said to him, "If you were the Son of the Almighty God, you might of your own will make loaves out of stones. But you cannot do this. Therefore you are not Son of God." Now, in the gospel in brief, it's saying that the voice of his flesh says this to him, not Satan. Now, in the New Testament, it's okay. Now Satan appears to him, but now it's Jesus's. Notice right here what Tolstoy's doing. He's making Satan Jesus's flesh, and another way to look at flesh is his will, and this, not his will, maybe a twisted will or the basic will. And Satan's not exactly that. He's related to that. And the voice of his flesh said to him, "If you are Son of the Almighty God, why don't you make some loaves out of those stones if you're truly the Son of God? But you can't do this because you're not the Son of God." And Jesus said to himself, "If I cannot make bread out of stones, this means that I am not Son of God of the flesh, but Son of the God of the Spirit. I am alive, not by bread, but by the Spirit. And my spirit is able to disregard the flesh." So Jesus is saying, I'm the Son of Spirit, not the Son of the flesh. Oh God. Now that's courageous for Jesus to say this. First of all, it's courageous for him to go 40 days. Okay, the Catholics might be onto something with Lent here. I don't know. ITK. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me. I'm reading a book. Don't shoot me. Don't burn me. My thoughts might be twisted. I don't know. And but I will admit that this passage is difficult for me. But hunger nevertheless tormented him, and the voice of the flesh again said to him, "If you live only by the Spirit and can disregard the flesh, then you can throw off the flesh, and your spirit will remain alive." So then Satan, or Jesus' inner thoughts and flesh and desires, I want that, I want it, I need that, are pretty much trying to trick him. Haven't you ever been tricked? Come on, we have been, okay, we tell ourselves, all right, This literally happens every day. I don't know why I posed it as a question like that. It's okay. I'm gonna go 7 days without drinking soda, and then or 30 days without drinking soda, and then on day 8, I run. I've been running for a week. I've done this, and then I'm out at dinner, and I'm eating, and I'm like, oh, what do you want to drink? And I'm like, you know, I made a lot of money today. I I imparted wisdom to 3 of my friends. I made a big deal. I made a good deal of money. I did all this stuff. I even ran, and I haven't. You know what? I'm gonna have 1 glass of soda. Just like that. Just like that. Our flesh, our desire, whatever, our Satan. It's just a word. It's a word. Don't get boo. It's an important word, actually. So that understand. Just like that. Satan, desire, whatever you want to call it, has won. Spirit gone. Maybe. Is that what it is? That's just my interpretation at this moment. I don't know. That's basically what Satan, the flesh, Jesus' flesh, is saying to him. He's saying, so Jesus, this is pretty much what Jesus was like in the desert. Oh God. No, he was more like this. Like, and then the voice. Pretty much saying, so the voice takes Jesus' first argument. It's an argument. Oh, this passage is good because it's like it's an argument that's hard to follow, and it uses that, like what I was saying, the trap door. It uses all your fallacies as you might want to use, and it's the ultimate argument. It's a model argument. So let me focus here. So Jesus says, listen, I'm not the son of flesh, I'm the son of the spirit. That's why you can't make bread. Okay? So then the voice says, if you live only by the spirit and can disregard the flesh, then you can throw off the flesh and your spirit will remain alive. So he's taking what Jesus says, oh, you're by the spirit, not the flesh? Okay, then get rid of the flesh then. If you're so high and mighty, literally what he's saying. And it seemed to Jesus that he was standing on the roof of the temple, and the voice of the flesh said to him, if you are the son of the God of the spirit, throw yourself off the temple. You will not be killed, but an unforeseen force will keep you, support you, and save you from all harm. Oh, okay, then if you don't need me, then why don't you go ahead and kill yourself? Okay. Okay, we're going to touch on suicide in a second. It's very difficult to navigate, but let me just finish this to make sure I don't mess up. But Jesus said to himself, I can disregard the flesh, but may not throw it off, because I was born by the Spirit into the flesh. This was the will of the Father of my spirit, and I cannot oppose him. Okay. For me to disagree with Jesus is hard. It is hard to disagree with Christ. You can disagree with anyone in the world who believes in him, but to directly disagree with him, with this, to disagree, God. To me, okay, if you want to read my thoughts on this, just read Schopenhauer's little essay on suicide. I'm not even going to talk about it. I agree with him 100%. But I also agree with Jesus 100%. So what does that put me? In the ether, baby. I don't even know what to think, and I don't have a true opinion. That means I've never grown up, and I'm a child, and I don't have firm judgment. And I don't say that's right. I don't know what's right, because it's hard to say. So I do my Egyptian dance. Yeah. 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 Then the voice of the flesh said to Jesus, if you cannot oppose your Father by throwing yourself off the temple and discarding life, then you also cannot oppose your Father by hungering when you need to eat. You must not make light of the desires of the flesh. They were placed in you, and you must serve them. Okay. So he's taking... Look how well Satan argues. or Jesus's flesh argues, oh, so he's pretty much saying, oh, you can't kill yourself, but you can say, don't eat? There's no logic in that. Then Jesus seemed to see all the kingdoms of the earth and all mankind, just as they live and labor for the flesh, expecting gain therefrom. And the voice of the flesh said to him, well, you see, these work for me, and I give them all they wish for. If you will work for me, you will have the same. But Jesus said to himself, my Father is not flesh, but spirit. I live by him. I always know that he is in me. Him alone I honor, and for him alone I work, expecting reward from him alone. Then the temptation ceased, and Jesus knew the power of the Spirit. Okay. Wow. I just relearned what that was about at the end there. That's good. That's really good. Pretty much the flesh, why I was having trouble with it is because I'm fleshly as well. And I agree with the spirit part, and I agree with the fleshly part. That's where they clash. I was literally having an argument with my own flesh while lecturing you about this. Sorry, it's hard for me to look right there, but so it's hard. That's why it's hard to grapple. Jesus with the 40 days with the flesh, that there's a reason the flesh stays arguing with him for 40 days. If Jesus had to argue with the flesh and Satan, it's no wonder that we have struggles. Jesus won the argument in the end, and because it came down to Satan or the flesh saying, look at all these people, they're eating and they have money and they make it big. You don't want to be like them? And then that's when Jesus knew, oh, okay, what? So all these people just eat and survive and eat? Wow, that's a great ending there. So instead he went with the Spirit. Now, I do want to end on that session just because it's on that section because it's almost 45 minutes. One more thing I do want to clear up is on that very last part that I just mentioned. Jesus looking around and seeing everyone who just lives to eat and lives to survive and lives to make money. Maybe there's something in there. Maybe there's a beauty to be found in life that's not about eating, and that's not about making money, and that's not explicitly about Jesus. Maybe that does exist, but I do not use but lightly. I use but correctly, but our quest still is to find out why Jesus. Why? Who would we be without Jesus? It's a question. It's just a question. No, it's not just a question. It's a big question. Sorry, that's my weakness. It's, getting ahead and trying to think what you might be thinking. Who would we be? Who would you be without Jesus? What would we be without him? Now, once again, I'm just the messenger here. What I'm about to say is hard for me because I like to entertain a lot of ideas. Now, we may look to the East, and we may look at Hinduism, and we may look at Buddhism, and we may look at Brahmanism, and see that Jesus was here as well. Now, I don't want to freak you out, but I may have found the perfect ending. God bless. We'll see you next time.